time that one of his political opponents was so popular and people wanted to vote for that man, he was poisoned. And that resulted in a near-coup experience. People went violent, people were angry with him, and that was in the 70s. And when you see a man that has a bad health and is still insisting that he must rule, then that is the height of greediness. That is the height of avarice. That is the height of wickedness. Because I will tell you the simple truth. Nobody with a poor health will give you a healthy leadership. Why do we have people who come to power and they don't want to go, they want to die in power, they want to mess up the seat before they leave? When you don't like a person to rule you and he forces himself on you, anytime you see him anywhere, you will feel sad. You will not like him. Even if he talks, he might not even ring. Even if he's saying the right thing, it will ring like the wrong. Well, we want to thank God again. Today is Saturday, the 2nd of September, year 2023. And it's another time for discourse. This is just going to be a narrative, a kind of a narrative on the activities of the Bongo dynasty in Gabon. Everybody has been speaking and talking about the recent coup in the oil-rich and uranium-rich Republic of Gabon, a very small country on the continent of Africa. Well, why am I here? I just want to do another interventionist broadcast, and I believe that everybody should learn from the story of the Bongos. That is the father, Omar Bongo, and the son, Ali Bongo. Yes, it's a story of power elitism, you know, the story of the wretchedness of wealth. You know, there's a level in life that you feel that you are so rich that justice cannot catch up with you. You feel that you are so rich that karma cannot deal a blow on you, or you are so rich that nemesis cannot catch up with you. But today now, we can see what is happening. In recent times, we've had the season of coup d'etats in African region, you know, starting from Mali to Guinea-Conakry to Burkina Faso, down to our neighboring Niger Republic in Nigeria here, very close to the northern part of Nigeria, and to the Gulf of the Guinea, which is now recently Gabon. You know, the Gabon story is a very, very sweet story. It appears that a whole lot of people, especially in the Sahel of Africa, are very happy with the revival of coups. I mean, you will be so, it is an irony, like 20, 25 years ago, everybody was speaking against the military juntas, speaking against the military political interference in the social relationship between the government of a state and the people. But it's a different ball game today. You will see that immediately the junta guys took over on Thursday, 30th of August in Gabon, in Libreville. There was an opera of happiness. There was a kind of celebration, pomp and pageantry. People were throwing off their hats, happy, lively citizens. Even came out to welcome, to appreciate, and to celebrate the entry of the military boys. And that's the same thing that happened in Niamey, in the Republic of Niger, a couple of weeks back, when there was a military strike in that country that sacked the leader of that country, President Bazoum. You saw that the people were so happy, the people came out, the people celebrated the arrival of the military boys. And the same thing is going on in Burkina Faso, going on in Mali, going on in Guinea-Conakry. And some of these countries, I think this is the 8th coup with the Gabon experience, the 8th coup. And we want to look at what is going on, you know, because I'm just going to speak, I don't want to speak much, but I'm going to analyze it, because for a long time I've always believed that there is what we call elitism. And elitism is something that steals reality away from the rich and the mighty. But before I talk, let me look at what's his name? Pieter Willem Botha, the former South African leader, said about the black man. And that thing that President P.W. Botha said many years ago, I think that was 1988, he said this. He said, and I quote, "Black people cannot rule themselves because they don't have the brain and mental capacities to govern a society." That is point number one. Let me repeat. He said black people cannot rule themselves because they don't have the brain and the mental capacity to govern a society. Then point number two, he said, give them guns, they will kill themselves. Give them power, they will steal all the government money. Give them independence and democracy, they will use it to promote tribalism, ethnicity, bigotry, hatred, killing, and wars. I think we should underline those facts in the words of P.W. Botha. He said, give a black man gun. He said, give them guns, they will kill themselves. Give them power, they will steal all the government money. Give them independence and democracy, and they will use it to promote tribalism, to promote ethnicity, to promote bigotry, to promote hatred, to promote killings and wars. And if you look at what happened in most of the African countries, and we are now celebrating the return of the military guys, that's exactly what happened. Even in our own country, Nigeria, you look at the way the politicians behave, you look at the way they reason, you look at the way they relate from the poverty line to the rich line. Some people that you see years ago that cannot boast of a bicycle, that cannot boast of a motorcycle, that cannot boast of basic amenities of life, then fast track their lifestyle to when they get into politics, then you see everything change. Their taste changes, their lifestyle changes, their orientation changes, their faith changes, even their fraternization, their fraternity changes, because they believe they've arrived and they don't even care. They disconnect themselves from the society. And that is why you saw the former president, the ousted and the disgraced president of Gabon, in the name of Omar Bongo, crying in his city room that friends around the world should make noise. They should make noise.
I'm Ali Bongo Odimba, president of Gabon, and I'm to send a message to all the friends that we have all over the world to tell them to make noise, For the people here have arrested me and my family. My son is somewhere, my wife is in another place, and I'm at the residence. Right now, I'm in the residence and nothing is happening. I don't know what's going on. So I'm calling you to make noise, really. I'm thanking you. Thank you. I'm calling you to make noise, really. To make noise, really. To make noise, really.
What?
And you see, when you look at that video, that they should make noise, you ask yourself, what is the reality that Bongo is dealing with? The reality Bongo is dealing with is something that is happening with most politicians around and across. Bongo has lived his life in opulence for more than 40 years going now. He lived in the ambience of a father who ruled that country with a power fist, with a tight fist, from early 1966 down to when he died in 2009. That is June. He died on a Monday, June 8th, 2009. That's a man who has ruled with power. And if you look at Ali Bongo, who was Ali Bongo? His mother is not too known to the power blogs of Gabon. The mother was said to be a musician who lived more abroad than in the homeland. And Ali Bongo, probably taken from the gene of his mother, I don't know. But when he was growing up, he was said to be a lover of music, somebody who was going to be a DJ. But along the line, his father dragged him into politics and put him into the political rope, just like every African leader do to their son. Especially when they taste power, when they taste opulence, when they taste opportunity. Maybe Ali Bongo would have been a successful musician. Maybe Ali Bongo will have released some of the best albums. I even learned he had an album to his name. In those olden days that he started, and I think James Brown was one of his producers. He was somebody who was going to do music, but his father fast-tracked him into politics, and eventually he supplanted him in some strategic political office. And if you look at what happened in Gabon, the same thing happened in Togo. The late Nassingbe Eyadema, who took power and ruled Togo for almost 40 years too, before his demise on the 5th of March, on a Saturday, year 2005. He too ruled with a fist of power, and he brought his son, Faure, who is now the present holder of that regime. He brought him into political activities, and at the time he was going to die, his son was he was the Minister of Interior or something like that. That is Faure. And according to their law, I learned that in Togo, if the president dies suddenly, there was a law that it should be the head of the parliamentary that should take over. But on the day that Nassingbe Eyadema was passing away, he was rushed in the helicopter from Lomé. They were rushing him to either France or somewhere in France to a medical facility, and he died of high blood pressure, hypertension, and all the rest. And unfortunately, when they saw that there was that constitutional accident, I learned at that time they have to close the border against the head of the parliament, who was rushing down from abroad, from an overseas country, to come and take his constitutional role. And before they know what happened, they put Faure, Papa Eyadema's son, as head of state. Until today, Faure is the head of that country. You count it from year 2005 till now. We are going to go into Togo one of these days. But anytime I see Faure Nassingbe at diplomatic outings, either in the newspaper or on the TV, it looks so odd. You know, when you look at this kind of people, you feel an urge to burst. You feel bad. Look at the case of Cameroon. Cameroon is even worse. Paul Biya has been in government since early 80s. And as I'm talking to you now, the man is 90-year-old. And the other time he was at a meeting somewhere abroad. He was at a meeting abroad, and they called him to the table. And he couldn't even understand what was going on.
Pourquoi je suis en vedette? C'est qui tous ces gens qui sont là? attendez ça. Est-ce qu'il y a des gens importants là?
Les ministres, le président Kagame il est parti, introduit. Le monsieur vous a introduit. Il y avait un monsieur qui vous a introduit.
Je dois parler maintenant.
Vous restez assis. Vous pouvez parler assis dans la cité.
Ici.
Oui.
Pourquoi?
I mean, it's so sad. The man just sat there, he farted. He kept looking at the pamphlet in his hand for minutes. That is supposed to be his speech. Then he farted again in public. He put down his pamphlet. His aide came back to prompt him to speak.
Ici.
Oui.
Pourquoi? Yeah.
What I'm saying is, why do we have people who come to power and they don't want to go, they want to die in power, they want to mess up the seat before they leave, you know? You look at what Paul Biya is doing. Then recently now when they saw what happened in Gabon, both Paul Biya and Paul Kagame of Rwanda changed their military head. They have to start disorganizing their military, trying to remove the astute soldiers and put them with new soldiers. But let's go back to Bongo's situation. There's a lot of things that happen with Bongo, and I want us to look at the story of Bongo. You know, I want us to look at the story of Ali Bongo and his father. Now, the story of Ali Bongo and his father is a pathetic story. A few days ago, I think that was 2 days ago, I wrote a story on my Facebook titled The Untold Story of Ali Bongo's Dad, El Haj Omar Bongo Odimba, who ruled Gabon for 42 years as head of state. Now, I want us to go into that story now because sometimes in 2006, Ovation Magazine did a very lavish story on President Omar Bongo's 70th birthday and re-election ceremonies in Franceville and Libreville in Gabon. You know, that's one big story. And when I took that magazine out of my library, I saw a lot of report in there about the dynasty of Omar Bongo. You can see that is his wife. But I want to show you how God's judgment descended on our family and how things started turning out. Because the rich don't know that there is nemesis, there is karma, that even people praying against you in the corner of their room can catch up with you and deal with you in the end. People forget themselves when they get to the villas, presidential villas, they forget themselves when they get to power. This is Bongo cutting his 70th cake. Even at that time, 2006, he was already 71. But he put the birthday for his inauguration day. So he celebrated both. It was a joint event. This him and his wife. The wife died in March 2009 and he died in June 2009. But this was 3 years before their death, and he was celebrating. It was his 5th inauguration. And there were a lot of head of state there, a lot of dignitaries. Elizabeth Johnson of Liberia, President Abdel Wade of Senegal at the time, then Matthew Kerekou of Benin Republic was just leaving power. I think Boniyayi was taking over then in Benin Republic, and the same Faure Gnassingbé of Togo, and a host of other African head of states came to celebrate with Omar Bongo, who has refused to leave power in 42 years. So this was the magazine, and there are a lot of stories. So I have to take a little summary from Ovation magazine and some other sources to buttress what I want to read out to you about the family of the Bongos and how they looted, how they ruled with tight fists authority on the people, on the poor people of Gabon, and how they would not leave power until when God decided to take them out.
50 ans, on est fatigué. C'est pour ça qu'on revendique. Prenons les cailloux. Bongo a gagné sur 2 provinces, 2 provinces sur 9. Alors, les 2 provinces ne vont pas la République. Et nous, on en a marre de Bongo. On ne veut plus.
I will start by saying that in year 2006, when Ovation International magazine, Africa's #1 celebrity magazine, did a loud for purpose report on President Omar Bongo's 70th birthday and 5th time inauguration ceremony for a new term in Franceville and Libreville, Republic of Gabon, little did the editorial members of the flamboyant magazine and the well-connected publisher, Bashir Dr. Dele Momodu, knew that the strong man of Gabon had just 3 years to live on planet Earth. That was the reality of that time. The man was celebrating, he did a very large party to welcome himself back to power the 5th time. To start with, Omar Bongo was born on Monday, 30th of December, year 1935. And as at the time he was celebrating that auspicious birthday, he was already 71. The life and times of Omar Bongo Odimba. There are a lot of solid and controversial stories about the life and times of El Haj Omar Bongo as both the longest reigning politician and leader of the oil and uranium-rich Gabon. He was actually born a Christian named Albert Bernard Bongo, but changed his faith from Christianity to Islam in the year 1973 and thereby changed his name to El Haji or El Haj Omar Bongo Odimba. He got that the same year Idi Amin of Uganda got his Islamic affiliation as well. Little are known about Omar Bongo's parents, but he is from the Bateke ethnic group of Bongoville. The town is formerly called Lewai, but was changed to Bongoville as a result of Omar Bongo's profile. His 70th birthday by Ovation magazine. I just want to give you a kind of peripheral information about the birthday, then we can look at other aspects. Ovation did a masterpiece report on him. There was nothing bad, it was strategically a PR, and that's why I call it a loud for purpose story, a loud for a purpose report. You know, the perception of Ovation and the orientation of the publisher is to celebrate anything good in the black community, and that was what Ovation did, and there was nothing bad about it. But the citizens of Gabon were too tired as at that time. But you see, when these people have money, they use their money to sell themselves. They sell themselves to you as good, but when you look at the underneath, you see a lot of dirty there, you see a lot of dirty pegs, and you start asking questions why. So, of course, that occasion in the summer of year 2006 was a most memorable occasion which can only come once in a lifetime. A national holiday was declared to enable everyone in the country and within the diplomatic friends and well-wishers, including members of the elite Bongo family, to celebrate the 70th birthday ceremony and swearing in for the 5th time since 1967 of His Excellency President, El Hajj Omar Bongo Odimba, with pomp and celebration. At the ceremony, Omar Bongo, who, unaware to many of his guests and global observers, was already suffering what can be termed colorectal cancer, which is cancer of the intestine, and managing his health at the time, declared in a power-packed speech, just like any other African leader in his shoe, that I swear to act with all my power for the good of the Gabonese people and assume their well-being. You see, a lot of these funny African leaders are managing a lot of health issues. The other day we saw one that came from his health holiday, and there was something under his cloth, something like a syringe. A lot of them, but this avarice greed of ambition will not let them be truthful to themselves. And anybody that is not truthful to himself, how can he be truthful to you? How can he tell you the truth? If somebody cannot tell himself that, oh, I'm suffering from this ailment. The father was suffering from what we call colorectal cancer, and he was managing his health. He was in a very bad shape. Because why was he suffering from that state of health? He has overworked himself over the years. He was into government, he was into power, he was into diplomacy, he was into business transactions, he was a looter, he was a dealer, he was a stealer, he was a hunter, a diplomatic hunter. He was hunting around for Pan-Afrique. He was doing a lot of dirty deals, and he was amassing wealth. Somebody that has more than 33 houses scattered around the world, that has 183 automobiles, expensive, luxurious cars in his garages, spread around France, Paris, Nice, and some other Western countries, including Brazil, Libreville. He was a man that worked himself out of peace. You know, there's a level you work yourself and your body will react. So, as at that time, Omar Bongo was sick, but he was managing the health. And you will find out as we read through. Still yet, he was still telling people that he swore to act with all his power for the good of the Gabonese people and to assume their well-being. Despite his ill health, he was still boasting, just like a lot of people are boasting now. Even in our own country here, a lot of them are boasting. They have health challenges. They cannot stay long without pumping themselves or without using medical antidotes, but they still want to rule you. They want to rule well-fitted people. Now, to some, it was a good speech, but to majority of the people of the country who have been under the tight-fist political hallucination of Bongo's 39 years Maradonic rule, it was a useless speech. As at that time, people were tired of Omar Bongo. They wanted a new democratic face. They wanted a new democratic touch, but he was not ready to go. He was changing the constitution. He was always doing Maradonic style with their electoral processes. He was always bringing himself in different form. In fact, he was the most horrible ruler that ever ruled. In fact, at the time, he was even the president, minister of interior, minister of defense, minister of national planning, minister of oil and gas, minister of this, that. That is how greedy Omar Bongo was as a leader. Although the atmosphere of the occasion was one mixed with the highest and the lowest of the society in Gabon, it was a big event. Everyone was allowed to come in and eat rice and salad and chicken and other assorted meals that can only be eaten in the house of the rich and mighty. But majority of the citizens were already overfed with what can be termed the Omar Bongo tyranny of time. You know, when you don't like a person to rule you and he forces himself on you, anytime you see him anywhere, you will feel sad. You will not like him. Even if he talks, he might not even ring. Even if he's saying the right thing, it will ring like the wrong. Because you know his capacity, you know all he's saying is jazz. So a lot of people were tired of what can be termed the Omar Bongo tyranny of time. Tyranny of time is you have kept stealing time for yourself. You have dealt with a lot of people. You don't want innovation. You just feel that you are the only one that can do it, and you put yourself in power, just like it is happening in Cameroon, like it is happening in Rwanda, like it is happening in Togo, like it is happening in Guinea-Bissau, and like it is happening in some other African states, African countries that have refused to look into their power regime and change or go democratic. Now, some of the esteemed guests at the event were Africa's first female president, Her Excellency Dr. Elizabeth Johnson Sirleaf, who was making her first official trip as the new president of the Republic of Liberia. That was the day, that was 2006. Elizabeth Johnson was just elected as the president of the Republic of Liberia, and she was the first female president in that region in Africa. Others was Joseph Kabila of Republic of Congo, Faure Gnassingbé or Republic of Togo, then President Abdoul Wade of Senegal, the former president before the young guy that is in Senegal now, Matthew Kirikou of Republic of Benin. He was just leaving when Boniyayi was just coming in to Republic of Benin. Then Alpha Omar Konare of the l'Union Africaine, and a host of other African leaders in the diplomatic circle. Then Omar and Edith Lucy, that is the wife, the first lady at the time. Omar and Edith Lucy, his beautiful wife, wore their best mood after the cutting of cake and other ceremonial offerings by taking to the dance floor to show their guests how fitted and how gaiety they could be in their dance skill. And that was the beauty of that occasion. They came, they made merry of themselves, they danced, it was fantastic. They gave a different picture to their guests. But in reality, they were only celebrating when the city was burning, like Nero. They were jubilating. At least power was in their hand. They were controlling the levers of power. So anybody could murmur, anybody could grumble. They don't care. The value of the event was very colorful and glamorous as the decorators creatively transformed everywhere into a kaleidoscope of green, yellow, and blue. It was a great occasion, spiced with assorted meals and drinks for all to eat and feel good. Of course, that's a very oil-rich, an oil-rich state with uranium and other natural resources at their beck and disposal. Omar Bongo, now look at how everything started going down. Omar Bongo and the craze of destiny. Omar Bongo and the craze of destiny. Because in life, destiny will take its own path. You can't do it, you can't go scot-free. But 21 months down the line, it was Edith Lucy Bongo, the first lady that first developed a strange illness, which took her to several hospitals in Spain, Morocco, and Paris. She later passed away at an elite hospital in Rabat, Morocco, on Saturday, the 14th of March, year 2009, 4 days after her 45th birthday. She was undergoing treatment for 7 months as the illness refused to go, but eventually took her life. Yes, Edith Lucy was the second wife and the official first lady of Omar Bongo. Don't forget that I told you about his first wife, who was largely unseen during his 42-year reign. Maybe she didn't have enough intellectual gates to stand that office. So he married Edith Lucy, who gave him young children, but she is the daughter of another president of a nearby country. Funny enough, Edith Lucy Bongo is the eldest daughter of President Denis Sassou Nguesso of Congo. She was a trained pediatrician. She was Bongo's second wife as he married her in year 1990. His first wife, Josephine Kama Yali, that is Ali's mom, was a singer and not much was heard of her as she spent most of her life abroad. It is widely believed in some quarters that Edith, who refused to be seen in public after her husband's 70th birthday and 5th-time inauguration party in year 2006, might have been attacked spiritually or otherwise, as the cause of her strange illness was unknown till death. Till today, nobody could say this is what killed Edith Lucy Bongo. She was just out of public eye for 3 years since year 2006, only to die in March year 2009. Before her death, she had an NGO that fought for vulnerable children in Gabon and another one that fought against the spread of HIV/AIDS. Now, Bongo's dramatic death 2 months after wife's demise. The husband passed away 2 months exactly after the death of his wife. But let's see what happened. After the death of Edith Lucy, the daughter of President Sassou Nguesso of Congo and First Lady and wife of El Haj Omar Bongo Odimba, it was like a deluge of funerals for the first family of Gabon. The president suddenly disappeared from public radar in May 2009, 2 months after wife's death in Morocco. When local bloggers began to ask for whereabouts of the president, his cabinet manager said he was out on private holiday in Spain, even though the president suspended his official duties as a result of a terrible illness that got him half paralyzed. But his official told local media executives that Mr. President was only out of town to mourn his wife as a result of intense emotional shock. That was the gibberish that was given to the public, that Mr. President was in Spain to rest and to mourn the demise of his wife who died in March. And we're talking of June. He actually left Libreville in May 7, and he died 1 month exactly, June 8, sorry. Of course, the international media reported that Omar Bongo was terribly ill, but his prime minister, Jean Eyege Ndong, and a handful of other bureaucratic officials denied the report. You remember our own Yadwa debacle of year 2010, how he was being shifted out of Aso Rock to Saudi Arabia, and a lot of people are coming out to say, oh, we met him yesterday, we shook hands with him, we saw him in the hospital, he's looking fine, he's looking fitted. Some people said we spoke to him on phone, and he was even cracking jokes, he was laughing, all sort of diplomatic facade. Bongo left his presidential villa near the Atlantic Ocean in Libreville and flew into Spain on Thursday, May 7, 2009. A month later, Sunday, June 7, precisely, news filtered into Gabon that Mr. President was gone. The news came in and they told them that their president is late. But look at what happened. Actually, he was alleged to have fallen into coma, but the Prime Minister, Jean Eyege Ndong, obviously lying via his teeth, faced local media executives and told them that himself and the President of the National Assembly, Minister of Foreign Affairs, head of the cabinet, SSG equivalent in Gabon, and senior members of the president's family met him in Quiron Clinic in Barcelona the previous day, and that His Excellency was in good shape. So you see that Yoruba will say, "Gbogbo bi Latin kedi yale." That means the same thing happened almost everywhere. In Nigeria in year 2010, they were telling us President Yar'Adua was okay, it was fine, nothing happened. They were trying to cover the information despite the fact that the decision was terrific, the decision was so bad. But you see, elitism will never allow them to realize what is going on at the lowest rung of the society. So, again, Ndong, the Prime Minister of Omar Bongo, was lying to the public in Gabon, saying that President Omar Bongo was in good shape, nothing happened to him, they spoke with him, they met him at the Quinon Clinic in Barcelona, he was looking fine, everything. But unfortunately, nobody can cheat nature. You cannot play game with nature. So what happened? More drama for Bongo and journey to heaven. The next day, Monday, June 8th, both the Spanish Foreign Affairs Ministry and some selected international journalists like the BBC and co supported Jean Eyege Ndong in his spirited diplomatic lies. They tried to make it look like what he was saying is real, that the president was okay, the president was alive, because that was the only news that he felt would ginger a lot of people. And in most cases, majority of the people even want him to pass away because he has already overstayed his welcome. But the lies were too watery to stay long, as official state media in Barcelona and other global media outlets later broke the news that indeed His Excellency Omar Bongo Odimba is dead. He suffered heart attack around 12 GMT at Quiron Clinic, Barcelona, and died. Young, who had created what appeared like a web of deliberate lies, later called the press and broke the sad news to them. He confirmed that his principal died of heart attack. The same prime minister that was playing double game with diplomatic lies and all sorts of assaulted Fassad was the one that came out to say, please, I'm sorry. Mr. President passed away. He died of heart attack. But 24 hours ago, he was telling the country that they were with him. He was in a good shape and all that. Meanwhile, the president was half gone. So what happened? Omar Bongo's rise to power, short lead. We want to let you know. Well, Thursday, June 11, Bongo's body was flown into Brazzaville from Barcelona. You know, he left on May 7. It was a Thursday of year 2009, and he was flown back into Brazzaville, no, Libreville, on May 11, on a Thursday again. And his body was given a 5-day open display at the presidential villa adjacent the Atlantic Ocean before his state funeral was done in honor of Omar Bongo.